All right, so if you go back here, this is just not a tool to analyze deeper our competitors, right? We can group them into direct, indirect, and product substitute, okay? And how do we get there? We normally look at the need of the customers and the brand that is close to us in terms of servicing the customer's need. Then we can group them as our direct competitors, right? So if you look at iPad, the first generation of iPad before the other tablet computers appear in the market, their direct competitors would be the PC, the MacBook, right, laptop. They are the direct competitors. Of course, the tablet computer category has now been established, so it has evolved to the next level. Okay, so they have their own tablet computers as well. Okay. Right, just another tool that I'd like to introduce to you in terms of competitor analysis is the marketing mix variables. This is part of the offering. You don't need to use these templates, by the way. Okay, you can use this as kind of guideline for you when you analyze your competitors. Right, your assessment requires you to look at 2 competitors, not 3. My time was 3.
Question. Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Can this be something that could be put in the appendix of the report?
Good idea. Good idea. Right. Appendix is not counted as in your word limit. That's a good idea. Right. Fantastic. Okay. I like that. Right. Will I look at it? Yes, I will. All right. So you can put it in the appendix. You can put the details, the tables, and so on and so forth in the appendix. And then you put your highlight, your summary, your key findings of your competitor analysis in your body report. Okay. Right. And then the next one is public. Okay. Public is not again, just briefly on public. Public is not our target market, but their voice will affect our effectiveness as an organization to deliver value for the customers, right? Think about the example I gave in the in module 1 presentation, where we know that Coke has been battling with the voice of the not-for-profit organization because these guys have been spreading the news that Coke has been spreading diabetes and sugar to the world, right? And it has impact to carbonated soft drink consumption, okay? Because that kind of voice, we like it or not, they like it or not, has influenced the consumers' awareness, health conscious. Okay. All right. I'm not going to discuss that. Customers, again, this is just another information about customers, but the main one about customers is basically the one that we are going to discuss in the consumer behavior, right? Okay, so that's basically the micro-environmental actors that we just discussed before. And the next one is the macro-environment. Okay, there are 6 forces. If you refer to the 6 forces, it consists of demographic, economic, natural, and technology environment, political and social environment, and also cultural environment. Okay, so there are the 6 macro-environmental forces that affect the business, that affect everybody, that affect all micro-environmental actors. Okay, just roughly about to give you a bit of outline in terms of demographic. For instance, you may look at the age structure changing in terms of age structure in the population. Countries like Australia have this, right? We have the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials. Okay. And the other highlights in terms of demographic changes, we have seen better educated customers, for instance. Well, if we have a better educated customer, that means they are more demanding, right? And we have seen in the increasing diversity. And I gave an example in my module 1 presentation that the impact for McDonald's, for instance, they managed that pretty well, basically, in my view. They customize the products to the diverse environment. Okay. Economic, that affects the customer's lifestyle. Okay, because customer's lifestyle depend on their spending pattern and spending power. Okay, so economic environment will affect the consumer spending power. Okay. And natural environment, there are two issues in here: shortage of raw materials, increase pollution, and eventually, if that happens, if number two happens, it may increase, it may open a large opportunity for the government to introduce a more stringent regulation. We may recall the carbon tax that the Labour government introduced a few years ago. Okay. And political, definitely about the government actors and also legislation, okay, that they produce. Okay, so they're the main ones. And if you refer to past model, which is fine, look, either model that you use, that they are fine to me. Okay, the past or the six forces, they are fine. Okay. Now this is a snapshot that I populated some time ago in terms of past elements. Okay, if you look at that, we have the political factors in here: economic, social, and technological. Right? Do we have to analyze everything in here? No. Okay. You do need to look at a couple of, let's say, 2-3 factors under political, 2-3 factors in economic and social, and also technological. Okay. When do we stop analyzing past factors? Well, if we have revealed strong opportunities and strong threats, then yes, that's when we can say, yes, we have comprehensively analyzed it. Okay. Now, why? How do past factors relate to opportunities and threats? Okay, let's have a look at it further. Right. The purpose of macro-environmental forces analysis is to review the elements that affect the industry or the industry consumptions or the organization, right, or the business. Okay, so the outcome would be around if you look at that, since the focus is impact. Okay, the outcome would be around. There are only two types of impact: positive impact or negative impact. Okay, the positive impact actually goes to opportunities, and the negative impact goes to threats when it comes to SWOT analysis. Therefore, one of the things I'd like to look at when it comes to your assessment for this assessment is basically whether you have linked your environmental forces, in this instance past, to your SWOT analysis or not. Now, we recall that probably in your other subjects, you also learned that the criteria of writing a good strategy. One of them is to have one intact thinking starting from the environmental analysis or situation analysis, right through the SWOT analysis, the objectives, the strategies, the programs, and so on and so forth. They should come as one intact thinking, right? They should be linked one to another, right? So therefore, if you go back here, okay, ask yourself, what are the 2-3 factors from political, 2-3 factors from economic, 2-3 factors from social, 2-3 factors from technological that affect your business? How do they change, and what impact? More importantly, is what impact. And then after you get them, after you get the strong opportunities and strong threats, then there you go. You have analyzed it comprehensively. Okay. So far, any questions, guys? All good? All right, let's move on then. All right, the next thing is SWOT analysis. Now, look, this model is quite popular. Okay, at one point of time, your manager may require you to write a business plan, a marketing plan, or whatever plan that is. Okay, very likely you need to write a SWOT analysis because it is quite popular. This is one of the concepts where management practitioners or business practitioners and academic people agree. Okay, strengths and weaknesses reflect the internal elements of the business. Opportunities and threats are basically the external. All right, now let's have a look at the strengths and weaknesses. They are internal, right? I often find people mix up between strengths and opportunities and weakness and threats. Okay, so your question is, how do we call, or how do we know that the factor that we analyze is an external or internal? Well, simple. If you can control it, okay, if it is something that you can influence it or you can change relatively easy, then they are internal. okay? Because the external factors like past, for instance, it's hard for you to influence, right? You may be able to influence it, right, through proactive action to it, okay? But it takes time to influence it. It takes time. Think about this. It takes time to influence our member of parliaments in Canberra, for instance, to change a certain regulation. It may even take an election, right, for us to change it, right? If we disagree with the current policy, for instance, we change the government in the election, for instance, okay? So it takes that effort to change it. Then it is an external factor, okay? So hopefully I have given you a bit of illustration in terms of differentiating internal and external, right? Now, we know that I'll skip the strengths and weaknesses for a moment because I have another slide to explain it, giving you an example about strengths and weaknesses. Opportunities and threats. We just discussed before that this should be related to your past analysis. The favorable macro environmental forces should be in your opportunity, all right? The unfavorable ones should be in your threat. Now, threat also consists of your competitors, either current or future competitors, okay? So sometimes when we write our plan or we write your assessment, for instance, in this instance, you may have completed your past analysis, and then when it comes to SWOT analysis, you find that, hey, hang on a second, I have another opportunity here, and this opportunity is quite strong, but we did not have that in our past analysis. Then you need to go back there. You need to go back up to your past analysis and research that to substantiate your opportunity. Okay, because again, between your past analysis or macro environmental forces analysis and your opportunity and threat analysis, they should be linked. Okay, in brief, the summary of your macro environmental forces analysis actually is about opportunity and threat analysis. Okay, all right. Now let's look at the strengths and weaknesses. I have populated a number of resources, okay? Strengths and weaknesses actually, as part of the internal environment, they actually reflect the assets, capability, or resources that the organization control or doesn't control, okay? There are 4 groups of resources in here that you can use, okay? The first one is customer-based asset. That includes the relationships, either with the distributor, with the business partner, or the customers, okay? The company name, the brand reputation, brand awareness, brand equity, all right? That's part of the customer-based assets, all right? Country of origin. In some countries, country of origin plays a significant role. In certain product categories, in Australia, it also plays an important role, okay? Customers may look at where is it made of, okay? In fact, certain country of origin may have been in quote unquote in the blacklist of the customers. Now, I'm not going to buy product from this kind of country because they are quite, popular in terms of being bad product. Okay. Market domination, such as your market share. If you dominate the market, if you have strong market share, is that an asset or not? Yes, it is an asset. All right. What kind of benefit with that kind of asset? Well, you have the benefit of managing local structure. For instance, you have the benefit of accessing the customers widely, okay? Superior innovative product services, right? Like Apple, for instance, arguably they are quite strong in terms of innovation, right? Although recently the stock analysts have been challenging them. Hey, you have been revolutionized the way we communicate through your iPhone, all right? Through your iPad. Now, what's next? Okay. Now, and the other one is internal support assets, such as the cost structure, right? The ability of the company managing their costs, all right? Some businesses really depend on it, all right? And some other aspect as well, like their patents, the business experience, right? Alias-based assets, okay? Access to markets, skills, technologies, okay? And supply chain assets such as the network relationships, right? Supplier network and relationships, and so on and so forth, right? So there are examples of organizational resources that you can consider into your strengths and weaknesses, okay? In brief, What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to upload the PDF file of this presentation so you can have a look at it, you can digest it, right? Yeah, you can reflect where these variables sit in your organization, whether they sit in the strength or weakness. Okay. All right. Any questions, guys, about SWOT analysis? All right. By the way, if you have questions, please just interrupt me. I'm happy to discuss that. Okay. Now let's move on. This one here is actually showing us a bit of link between the strength, sources of advantage, and potential deliverables, and also the performance outcomes, right? To show us a bit of logic, okay, in terms of what do the strengths do for our business, right? So when we claim it is an asset, so it has to perform something for us, okay? Let's say if we have, for argument's sake, if we have financial resources. Is that an asset? Yes, it is an asset. It is an example of assets, right? So it is our, let's say, we claim our organization to have strong financial resources. Okay, that's our asset. Okay, potential deliverable. What can that do? Well, potentially it can help us, right? Financing all marketing activities, financing all innovation activities. Okay, so what specifically the performance that we can expect from that, right? From strong financial resources. Well, that helps us building our brand, for instance, right? Or that helps us acquiring new technologies, for instance. Let's say we expand a business to a different product category, right? And we don't have the technology, we don't have the machinery, right? Because of the strength financial resources, we can buy them. Okay, that's the performance outcomes, right? Now let's look at the second one. Let's say we have strong brand reputation as being innovative. Right? If you use, by the way, if you use brand reputation as one of these strengths, please explain as what. Okay, let's say our company has that strength, strong brand reputation as being innovative. Okay, what potential deliverable can we get? Well, we can convince the customers. Right? When we launch new product, customers may line up. Remember the case of Apple. Right, when they leak out the information, hey guys, I'm going to launch iPhone 7, for instance, right, on the 16th of September in Sydney. Okay, 14th of September, people have started lining up. Okay, and performance outcomes would be convince the customers easily because we have strong brand. All right, we have powerful brand. Okay, so hopefully, guys, that gives you an idea in terms of linking strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. And more importantly, is understanding what elements that we want to include in our strengths and weaknesses, and what it means to business performance. Okay. The next one is about consumer behavior. I'm not going to discuss this more detail. Consumer behavior, please discuss about the level of involvement, whether your product category is falls under high involvement or low involvement. Okay, high involvement actually relates to the risks that our customers have when they acquire a product. Risk could be financial risk, it could also be social risk. All right. Well, if I wear this, do I feel like a dork or not? All right, that's a social risk. Or it's kind of low involvement because it doesn't matter. The price is not that expensive, so it doesn't, it doesn't really make us losing a lot of money, for instance. Okay. Okay. Now, and then please look at the situational influences. Right. There are several factors in here. Right. That includes the physical surroundings, social surroundings, time dimension, purchase, reason, mood of the consumer when they purchase that. Right. I'm not going to discuss this in more detail, guys. Please go through your e-text. And although I include a number of slides in here as well for you to help guiding you. Psychological influences, they include these guys here: the perception, the motives, right, learning, attitude, self-concept, and lifestyle of the customers. Okay, And the question is, how many factors that you need to analyze? Well, definitely for this one, you need to select whether it is, you need to decide whether it is high or low involvement, right? You justify that. And this one here, you select 1 or 2, and here you select 1 or 2, okay? I'm going to skip that. And the last one is the social influences. Okay, there are several factors as well in here, the social, family, okay, and so on and so forth. Again, select 1 or 2 in here. All right. So that's basically the assessment in a nutshell. And yeah, any questions?
So basically,
sorry, you go, Ryan.
So basically, module 1, module 2 will help us with our assignments. What's been
all right?
Thank you.
Module 1 and module 2 for your assessment 2. Okay, for your assessment 1, I don't think it is harmful if you also go through module 1, module 2, right? For assessment 1B, predominantly about module 1, but it's not harmful if you also go through module 2, because you get some insight from consumer behavior. Okay. Sorry, what's the other question again? Sorry.
I just had a question in regards to, I mean, it's quite a lengthy assessment, and when you talked about earlier potentially offering it as an individual assessment,
yep.
I was wondering if you could maybe allocate groups based on motivation. So if there's people who are really highly motivated or identify themselves as really keen to get through this assessment, could you potentially reallocate groups based around that? Because I'm not a last minute person.
Right, okay. Yeah, look, I received 2 emails from from a couple of students raising concerns about their group. Okay, and well, look, unfortunately, no matter how hard we whip the horse, sometimes the horse doesn't want to run. Then it's hard. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to outline some policies and procedures to help, driving the behavior with the team member rating shade. I believe you're aware of that. And the other thing I offer is the, if you want, you can also, set up as an individual assessment. And actually, before I set up the groups, I gave the opportunity for about a week. I allocated people, I assigned people to groups in last Saturday, and I said a week before that, I said I was waiting until Friday if you have, if you have made your own groups, okay, which is fine. I respect that. You could send me an email, hey Eddie, I would like to be paired with these people, IBCD, for instance, right?
Yeah.
I gave the opportunities as well. Now, I understand your concerns. The problem is, I can't guarantee. Right? This is the problem. We may have. This is we talk about human behavior, right? We may have, in my experience, we may have someone who shows, motivated, uploading the assessment 1A, 1B, and then when it comes to assessment 2, 3, this guy is lost.
Yeah, I've always found group work quite challenging with online students, just because of different time zones, and while I respect everyone has their own schedules and are working and maybe taking other subjects, I always find that it's like 3 or 4 days before the assessment. It's like everyone needs to write 1,000 words. And I guess I'm looking for, even though I suppose I consider myself to be quite a leader, I've already posted in the group, I've already sort of encouraged a forum for people to exchange ideas. I think Ryan's the only person who's participated in that.
Look, Lillian, to be fair for you, okay, really,
Suck it up, Lily. Suck it up.
I don't think I've got the formula to address that, to be honest to you, right? I have several tools, several ideas that I can offer, right? I'm happy to discuss a bit of flexibility, like, giving you as kind of individual assessment instead of getting stressed, whipping people. You just work on your pace, right? So,
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
So how many words is it each person?
I can't offer you a better solution than that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I've always just struggled with it, and it's always like, you know, everyone's working on it up until 5 minutes to midnight, and I just, with my current work situation and home situation, I just can't afford to do that. And I'm not.
It's not correct actually working the last few minutes. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Sorry, Ryan, did I hear that you wanted to ask a question again?
How many words was it per person? Was it 2,500? Is that the total?
Yes, plus minus 10%. Right. Put it this way: if you write up to 3,000, I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. Excluding title page, excluding table of contents, excluding reference lists. Okay, excluding appendix. Okay, just the content, starting from your background right through your summary.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to get through under that.
Yeah.
Words have to be very brief, I imagine.
Yeah.
So if we just work towards as a group, and then say a week out from the assessment, if there's still people who aren't participating, can we just flick you an email and go from there? Cool. Thank you.
Can I confirm? You should have the access to the group discussion forum, right?
Yeah, I'm in my own group. Yeah.
Good. You can.
There's only been one person post.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's only one person. It's kind of introduced themselves.
Sorry about that.
I'm with mine, but I just found out that I was part of a group. I didn't realize I couldn't see that before, but now I see it.
I know. I didn't know either. I just saw it too.
Yeah. To my surprise, the system could not find a couple of students. I don't know whether it was you, Bev, at that time, but I got an email from these students. Hey, I can't find my group. And I checked our system. Okay, no wonder these students couldn't find the group, because the system has not assigned the student to a group. So I work on that manually. Yeah. All right. Any more questions? How about the content itself in terms of the content of the assessment? Any questions?
It's a lot.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to here is creative thread. Don't worry, found it.
Yeah.
Good. That's it. So you don't know how many words everyone should do. They've just got to work it out themselves.
Right. Yeah.
I've always found it's easier in group assignments to, I suppose just from my own experience, to allocate sections depending on people's strengths. So if you're quite strong in, I suppose, assessing maybe the macro elements of the environment, then perhaps offer to take that on. If someone's better at, alphabetizing all the referencing, then take that on too. But I tend to be quite specific in what times I'm available, when I'd like to get this done, and try and put as much information out into the group.
Right.
And keep my fingers crossed.
With the choosing the company, we just get to choosing the product or service. We just get to choose that ourselves.
Yes.
The group.
Nominate any product. Right. Can you please do me a favor? After you decide the product, can you please try it? Let's say you belong to group 3. Group 3 nominate this product. Let's say Samsung Galaxy or iPhone, for instance, be specific, please, because that will allow the other groups to select a different product from the same company. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on potentially selecting something like a fast food chain, say Subway or McDonald's, or potentially a hotel chain, like Marriott Hotels or something like that? Is that too broad, or do we need to be more specific in picking a product?
No, not really. That is actually a good one, a good case that you can write.
There's always a lot of information.
Yeah, be specific. When you say fast food chain, okay, you need to look at which fast food restaurant that you talk about. Is that McDonald's? Is that KFC? Is that Subway? All right. When you specify that, that's fine. And they're actually interesting. They're actually interesting cases. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry, just Gabrielle here.
Yep.
I was just wondering if anybody was in group 5 because I
Yes,
posted.
that's me. I'm just about to post.
Oh,
Yeah, I posted a couple of days ago just to introduce myself and see if we wanted to start chatting about what topic, and I haven't had any responses. So I just wanted to
I found how to get
had seen that and made sure they knew I wasn't not including myself. Yeah.
there you go.
So Chelsea, you're in my group. And my other question is, how do you see who is in your group? I've always struggled with that over the semesters of just seeing beforehand who's actually in your group.
Right.
Click on group homepage.
Yeah.
Group homepage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows you the group members in the group homepage.
Okay, so Chelsea's just you and I in group 5?
No, I'll let you know who is in there.
I mean, that's on the forum at the moment.
Right.
Oh, okay. Must be, yeah.
Gabriel, I've seen your chat box before, your note on the chat. What I'll do is, if you still find it hard to find your group members, could you please send me an email, okay? And I'll tell you, and I'm going to send a class message to everybody in your group, so you can chat one to another. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I just posted it, but yeah, you just click groups and then click group 5, and then it will come up with everyone.
Sure. Yeah, because Lillian, I'm like you, very busy and very eager to start early, so that way we can, do the draft and finish it on time. Because I've had one really good experience with the group and one really bad experience. So I think if you start early and you all decide which part you're going to contribute to and you get it done, it's quite easy. But everyone needs to kind of participate and do their part for it to be successful.
Yeah. I wish I could say I've had a good experience, but
Yeah.
But Ryan and I are going to smash this assessment. I know we are.
Well, I know you can nail it. I know. Therefore, I take this opportunity. We still have a few weeks to go. I organized this webinar at this time on purpose, because that will give you some time to digest it.
So what's the actual date for this one, if I can just write it down right now?
Sorry, I can't remember that.
4th of November.
12th of November is when the
group
report, research report is due.
Okay.
Right. All right. Now, by the way,
That's only really low.
When you allocate tasks, can you please specify the specific date? Can you please specify the date your group members need to submit to you? Otherwise, it will be forever, in my experience. Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, when? We need
Uh-huh. Yep.
And so, just to confirm, I know this was covered before, but the total word count is 2,500 divided by the 5 people in the group?
Which is
you can work that way. I would suggest that when you allocate tasks, you may want to refer to the task. Let's say under past analysis, for instance, you may want to allocate political for someone, economic for someone, and so on and so forth, and move on to the next one.
So each person does a couple of tasks.
To discuss together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any more comments, issues?
So by the end of this week, we should know, well, by, midweek, we should know exactly what product we're doing.
Yeah,
if you can post it on the discussion forum, that's perfect, right? Because that will allow you more time to research on it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Brilliant. Well, look, thanks a lot for your time. And again, I also find myself confused with the posting. So if you need to discuss with me, if you have some inquiries, please email it to me. So far, I answer most of emails on the same day, if not within minutes or an hour. All right. So please, yes, email your inquiries to me. I am quite quick answering emails. All right. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.